you ready?
We have some damp conditions as everyone scrambles out of the pit lane trying to find that optimum track position. Who gets out front is going to be the purple number 66 McLaren 720S GT3 out of the pit lane first. It's a short qualifying session and it is partly cloudy. The track is currently damp. This may be a flying lap, could just be another out lap, but it may be a flying lap. We'll see when he comes across the line. And it is a flying lap at 32.2, very far off of those times that we saw with optimum racing conditions, but we are not going to get optimum track in this qualifying session. It's going to be the best that you have, but one kicker with this qualifying, the better laps are going to come later on in the session. 31.1 as those times are beginning to drop very rapidly, and with a big improvement on their previous lap. Now once again on the pole position, and Rathy in the Ferrari immediately dropping a time only a 1/10.5 slower, as we are going to quickly see these times start to drop. Juvelainen now with a 31.00, as we are going to be into the 30s very shortly. Nat JB only 0.06 of a second behind. Will it be enough for pole position? So we'll see if this green Mustang brings it once again. Yes, first time into the 29s, and now it is going to pull over to the side, back into the pit lane, put fresh tires and fuel on that Mustang. 29.6 from Skino in the Mercedes. One of the few Mercedes running today, but a very respectable time. 29.6 from the 696 Mercedes piloted by Skino. At JB with a 29.0, now the time to beat from that Ferrari 296 with Turtle Team Racing. Skino back on pole position, a 28.8, the first driver into the 28.8. And I have a feeling with the delta on the times going all the way down the field, the top 20 separated by just a second, this qualifying session is definitely going to come down to the last lap. Whoever is on track last is going to have the best chance. Ando with 28.7 back on pole position. We'll have a couple laps to try to improve. Hope Blue just crossing the line, will be on their final lap, 28.6. Definitely going to need to bring some insurance, as they will not have another lap to try to improve. 28.6 the time to beat, but needs to improve on this lap to try and build any sort of buffer, as they are going to have much less time to defend this pole position than the rest of those drivers further ahead. And back into P2, Telecom into P3 in the Ferrari. Matt M down to P4. Does have the Mustang up ahead, that Mustang that they let through, coming through turn 7 and 8. May get a little bit of slipstream help from them. Mustang being a very, very quick straight line car. Hope Blue with the job to defend pole position as we come down to the very end of this qualifying session. This quali will come to 0. The clock will hit 0 before Hope Blue makes it back to the line. Hope Blue currently with 28.6 on pole. No longer on pole, Matt M with a 28.4. It's down to Hope Blue to try to improve. If Hope Blue wants any chance of holding on to this pole position, it's got to be right here. It's got to be an improvement by at least a quarter of a second. Is it going to be so? It is not. Slight improvement, but Matt M currently on pole and does have this lap to try and buy some insurance. Silth up into P3. Matt M had to abandon the lap, will not improve. Silth, P4, qualifying is done. Telecom, 28.3, top of the board on pole position. Matt M do no better than P2. Andem 5th. One of those drivers that we have seen fighting for the pole position. Currently P5 does have an opportunity to improve. The 42 across the line. And where is that 42 at? The 42. The 8. 42, P3, Nat JB. The 8, P15, Ritzenflitze. Rathy, P6, or number 6, up to P4. The 442 across the line. It's an improvement. MCR P16. Telecom still on pole, the 28.3, a big slide through the final corner from Andem. Across the line next. Not going to be an improvement. Telecom on pole position with Sim Race Evo, Matt M P2, Nat JB P3, Rathy P4, Hope Blue P5, Sylth P6, Irish P7, Andem P8, Juvelinen P9, Tony Garona P10, Skino P11, Aiden P12, Radioactive P13, Mel P14, L Bambino P15, Clorpt P16, MCR 420, MCR P17, Ritzenflitze P18, Shumi P19, Fazzy Binks P20, OG FX1 P21, Krieg Mitt P22, UGC Luke P23, Kai P24, Ron Loco P25, Alex MG P26, Uncleaner Cross P27, Ninja P28, Mad Psycaster P29, Zaidan 9, Devitt P30, Karpachev P31, Berserk Legends P32, Thron McCooney P33, and O Tesaurus P34. Will lead the field to the line as we get ready to go green flag for the first time. The season opener here of the XCLusive Esports Pro Series. And Telecom on the outside, Matt M on the inside. As those red lights will turn green, and we will take the green flag. Green, green, green. We are racing in the XCLusive Esports Pro Series. Round 1, the season opener here at Red Bull Ring. And everyone trying to make their way through. It does seem to be everyone's wide, and there is a big incident at the back of the field. Everyone trying to avoid those cars behind. I see the 66 involved. We have had a few involvements in that incident. Telecom still in the lead, and actually I believe it broke out nicely from the rest of the field. Fazzy Bink starting from the pit lane. Maybe that was a bit of a strategy call to avoid any sort of incident at the beginning of the race. But some early casualties. I don't think they have all too much damage on those cars. The BMW coming through of Mel does have some damage on the front. And we do see the 442 of MCR 420 into the pit lane. Telecom leads into the penultimate corner. And any incidents during the race will be reported in race control. We'll have a look at them post-race. All results at the end of the race are unofficial until the official announcement and standings have been posted. Telecom leads the first lap with Matt M in tow, but we have a group of cars all separated by about a quarter of a second delta. The front of the field trying to break away the best that they can. Sylth with the fastest lap of the race currently. And Irish and Andem, the sister Mustangs, having a little bit of a scrap coming out of turn number 1, up through the kink of 2 and into the hard braking right-hander of 3. Does Andem go for the move? Does not, is not close enough. But I think Irish got a poor exit, and Andem will pull alongside. They will be door-to-door when they come down to turn 4. Turn 4 going to be one of the prime overtaking opportunities, as you can take advantage of a poor run from the car that you are chasing and pull to the inside, force them to try the long way around at turn 4, and it is almost impossible. Good move from Andem there for P7. Definitely got a gap grown from Kai in the Schwitzer Motorsport Mustang to OG FX1 running in a little bit of no man's land, but 4 wide for just a moment as they make contact. The 789 BMW of Klorpt making contact with the number 8 of Ritzenflitze. And they were 4 wide, trying to fit too many cars into too small of a space. Klorpt will lose some positions, but they are still battling all of these cars all together. Ron Loco, UGC Luke, Thrawn McCooney, I think we'll go and hop on board with Alex MG and watch all of the chaos from behind. On board the Aston Martin as they come into turn 4, the McLaren seemingly eyeing a move of the inside into turn 4, but the Mustang is going side by side up ahead. Definitely going to be slower than the optimal racing line. That does allow the Ferrari of UGC Luke to try and find a way to close up to the cars up ahead. We were many cars in a very small space for just a moment there. Matt JB now definitely applying pressure to the McLaren of Matt M, and Matt M gets a poor exit of turn 1 as they are going to be side by side. This is a battle for P2. I think the McLaren has the track position to hold on to it. Will go defensive into turn 3, and they are side by side on the brakes. The McLaren up the inside, but I believe the Ferrari of Nat JB will get the old switcheroo. Not quite close enough, and was not far enough ahead to push and force the McLaren to go to the outside. But it may be a late braking move into 4. It is not. Feigning the move, but ultimately not going to stick. Skino now battling Irish with the McLaren of Juvelainen in tow. Nat JB still trying to find a way past the McLaren, but the longer they fight, the closer and closer those drivers behind will get. We have already added 2 more friends to this tea party. Hope Blue and Andom are now queuing up behind. Rathy very, very defensive into turn 3, and Silth tried to find a way past, but they are going to be side by side into turn 4. And this is not going to be what Hope Blue or Rathy are really going to want, but they are fighting for position early. Side by side into turn 4. I believe actually I don't think there was any contact, but they were very, very close to doing so. Still side by side, door to door as they come through 5 and 6. As Rathy finally gets that Ferrari back ahead of Silth. And just up ahead, Nat JB and Matt M still battling. And if they continue to battle, it will just accordion everyone else behind right back up, and no one really loses any time. But we are now starting to see that margin between Telecom and Matt begin to develop. Almost 4 seconds now, and Telecom just needs those drivers behind to continue battling. Remember, that rain is on the horizon. It will rain within the next 30 minutes. Andom looking on the inside of Hope Blue as they make contact. Andom was able to regain control, but Hope Blue hard into the wall, and it's definitely going to lose a few positions. Will slot in back behind the Schwitzer Motorsport Mustang of Kai, as Nat will just have to follow behind, but a good run out of the final corner may be what he needed. Matt defensive to the inside forces the Ferrari of Nat to the outside. And once again, door-to-door racing. Will Nat get the switcheroo through 1? Yes, he does. Silth will try to follow, but will not be able to. Now, is Nat JB unleashed to try and hunt down the Ferrari of Telecom? Still holds the fastest lap of the race, which means that he is definitely deserving of his position. Silth now goes past the McLaren of Matt, who has now dropped back a few positions. Juvelainen onto the back of Irish as this lead pack is really starting to grow. Skino past Andom, trying to hunt down Rathy. Skino and Andom having a door-to-door fight through 5 and 6. And Andom getting a great run out of 6, but with that narrow section of track, really nowhere to take that momentum. And deep into 8 goes Skino in the Mercedes. 420 of Mad Scicaster in the Porsche around at turn 8. Does eventually rejoin the track, but more incidents for Mad Scicaster. That is not going to be the race that they were hoping to have. Alex MG, Mill, Ninja. They are all here racing together. Too much curb for the Aston Martin. And I don't think that Mel, actually, is that Mel in that BMW? Who is that in that purple car? This is 789 of Klorpt, who is on a separate lap. Not too happy with the racing etiquette there coming out of turn 1. Trying to claw this race back on a different strategy, as they are definitely fighting for position here. 3 wide almost. Skino and Andom in battle once again. As Andom goes up the inside at turn 3, Skino will try it around the outside, and they'll do this side by side through turns 4, 5, and 6, song and dance again. This is a hard-fought battle for what is currently P6. As we are almost 20 minutes into this race. Still side by side, they'll try it around 6. Is that Mustang going to have any room? Yes, it will. They are continuing on side by side. Will they hold it through turn 7? No, Skino out up ahead. And Irish brought back into this fight. But these front engine monsters have all decided that they would like to race very hard together, and I believe that we are all here for it. The Sister Schwitzers racing into turn 1. And the longer they race, you may start to think, you know, they probably have communications with each other, but how long does team relations hold up in terms of racing, as they are going to be door to door coming through the kink of 2 uphill? I think that was some team orders there, as the 23 of Kai slots in ahead of the 777 of Bambino. When do you find a way through this fight? Bambino with Krigmit, UGC, Luke, and Juvelainen all trying to find a way through. They're going to go 3 wide down the straight as they come into turn 1. Juvelainen is up on the inside of Luke. How do they fare through there? Almost making contact. They're just going to run door to door up the hill to turn 3. Juvelainen does have a nose on Luke. Luke knows that, does have to leave the space open. And Juvelainen will go late on the brakes, try and find a way through. Will Luke get the old switcheroo? Will not, will just slop behind, and I think Juvelainen may be on the front foot. Side by side, Juvelainen now trying to make it past Bambino. As Bambino, they make contact. Bambino almost held on to it, but the snap took him around, and it is now raining. Who will come into the pits first? How long do you stay out? Wipers are rolling. Do we have any takers early? Everyone's staying out for now. Number 4, Irish into the pit lane, will be the first taker on a scheduled pit stop, and will come in, put tires, wet tires, and fuel in that Mustang. Who else coming in? The 71 of Juvelainen was in that race. Also, the 777 of Bambino. Silth P3, Rathy P4, and Skino has actually been overtaken by Andom just now. What has happened to Andom? think we may have just had some issues. As we have had very many drivers leaving. And I think we may be going red flag here. As we will go red flag momentarily. But as we get ready to go, green, green, green is not going to be able to respond starting, and those marbles will not give you all that much grip. But they are nearly 5 wide behind, as I think everyone has made it through a lot nicer. Don't really seem to be any incidents from the field behind. Telecom early up into the lead, or at least maintaining that lead. Telecom with Silt, but there is a massive incident back behind the majority of the field involved, the 777 of El Bambino. Who else is involved? And they are still crashing. Schumi involved, making contact, not with the Lexus, but one of the Mustangs. That was the Mustang of Thron McCooney, as we have had a big incident already. Who all has been involved? Alex MG, the Aston Martin is around at turn 4. And it has not necessarily been a pretty start to this race. Nat JB back into P2, Silth in P3, but Silth very early on with a good run. May try it around the outside of the penultimate corner. They go side by side through. Rathy goes very wide, will try to rejoin, but there's not going to be too much space to do so. Finds some sort of space. Drops down a couple positions, is now racing alongside Skino. Telecom in the lead, but it is Silth in P2. Nat JB goes to retake that position back. They don't make any contact. Nat JB got a poor start, now going to be under attack from the McLaren of Matt M. Andom up into P5, and Irish and Skino side by side up the hill into turn 3. The 999 of Alex MG around at the start-finish line again. Or around again at the start-finish line. Nat JB and Andom coming together. Andom up into P4. I think this is the exact thing that Andom needed to happen. Up into P4. Irish pushing hard. Skino pushing hard. Rathy down a few positions. And we have got a race on our hands. Albeit there was some unfortunate contact between a sizable amount of the field. But we have really closed everybody up back together. Also Ron Loco, a part-time XCL broadcaster. Make sure that you check out Ron Loco on Twitch. Find him in the Discord and make sure that you tune into his broadcast whenever he is streaming. Telecom still leading. Silth P2, Matt M P3, Andom P4. The battle for P5 between Nat JB and Skino. Nat JB now dropping down a few positions, was running P2 the majority of the race pre-red flag. But these red flag conditions have definitely thrown a wrench in the works of this race. Be it rain or red flag race restart, we have got a race on our hands once again. Rathy making contact with the number 4 Mustang of Irish, but Irish holds on to it, somehow manages to keep that Mustang in one piece, rejoins the track, albeit beside the super sweet BMWs, and will lose out on a few positions, but that could have been much, much worse than it was. Throughout the rest of this race, and of trying to find a way at least alongside the McLaren of Matt, and I think he has, and it looks like Andom up into P3 will find a way past the McLaren, and it is now going to be the McLaren of Andom up ahead. P3 currently. Skino trying to find a way to follow through. Nat JB will try to do the same as Matt in that McLaren seemed like he was on the front foot. Granted, that's if Ron Loco is not going to be attacked from OGFX in the BMW into turn 4. It does seem to be. OG will try it around the outside. They may have made a little bit of contact between each other there. And OG now alongside through 5 and 6. They will try to make it stick too wide through there. OGFX will have to go the long way around the outside, and that is also going to bring Mel in the BMW into the mix. Seeing a lot of understeer seems to be off the track into the sand, 2 tires in the sand coming out of 8 there, and a mistake there could open up the door for an overtake. UGC Luke stopped on track. Has the car stalled on him, or has he run out of fuel? Finally gets that started back up and rolling. Unsure of exactly what happened there, but that car was definitely off. In contact there between Berserk Legends and I think the McLaren of Radioactive. They are trying to fight for positions here. Alex MG clears the drive-through penalty. Side by side into the final corner. That's almost never going to work. And Radioactive is caught out in that one. Radioactive will go down in positions, and I think Race Control may be looking at that incident. Tony Garona with Berserk Legends behind. Uncleaner Cross, Tesaurus, and Luke. Luke very quick, but I don't know exactly what happened. And Tesaurus all sorts of out of shape on the curbs. Just barely managed to hold on to that Ferrari. This battle getting very congested between Berserk, Uncleaner, Luke, and Tesaurus. Battle up ahead between Tony Garona and Ninja. Ninja goes through. Does Tony Garona get the better exit, though? And they will be side by side running up into turn 3. I think Tony is going to have the advantage here. Ninja will try it around the outside. Does get as good of a run around the outside as you possibly could, but unable to hold on to it. Tony Garona will take that position back. Telecom will resume the lead. And we've got a race out of the pit lane here. As they're side by side, there's not really room for both of you at the pit lane. Juvalainen slots in ahead of Matt M. They will come out. They'll be in the top 10, but they won't be in the position Silth was in. Ron Loco now coming out, but Silth still holding on to P2. SRE Telecom with Sim Race Evo takes the win in the season opener at Red Bull Ring. An absolute masterclass all the way through. Silth with the late pit strategy comes and takes home P2. Andom P3, Nat JB P4, Juvalainen will bring home P5, Matt M will bring home P5, Juvalainen P6, Irish P7, Aiden P8, Rathy P9, and Skino will take home P10, Ron Loco P11, Mad Psycaster with Ritson Flitza P12 and 13, Kai P14, Mel P15, Fazzy Binks P16, OGFX P17. Klorpta will not. Krigmet takes home P18, Klorpta P19, Tony Garona P20, Ninja will bring home P21. Berserk P22 with unclean P23, radioactive P24. Thesaurus P25, and Luke will be the last across the line. Bring home P26. 8 rounds of this championship, a lot of action, and qualifying by itself could have been an entire event with as close as it was. That is going to bring it into this race today. Telecom took home the win. Sylph GB with MSA Autosport Team 2 takes home P2, and Andem with NLR Esports takes home P3. That is your podium. So thank you all for tuning in.